Welcome to Brick by Brick. Join me, Lauren Winnett, as I share my personal journey of building a thriving real estate and hard money lending business from the ground up. Along the way, we'll explore the strategies, challenges, and breakthroughs that come with growing wealth. Whether you're a seasoned investor or aspiring entrepreneur, or simply curious about the world of private lending and real estate, this podcast is packed with actionable insights, real-world stories, and mindset tips to help you build your own path to success brick by brick. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Brick by Brick. I'm Lauren Winnett, and we've got a great podcast today. I am going solo in talking all about the 5 key lessons that I learned over the last 5 years, going from having $7,000 in my bank account to managing a multi-million-dollar fund, doing hard money loans. So if you're watching this or listening to this and you are an experienced investor, you've been in the game for a bunch of years, a lot of this stuff isn't going to be applicable to you because you have lived through these trials and tribulations, and this is just me preaching to the choir. But if you are a newer investor, if you're just getting started, if you're thinking about starting, if you're interested in real estate investing, if you're interested in starting your own business, this podcast will give you some key insights and some things that I have learned along the way, and hopefully speed up your process so you don't have to do as much mental struggling as I did over the course of the last few years. So with that, let's get into it. So as you may or may not all know, I started real estate investing around COVID time. I was working at a W-2. I had a wife, a couple kids, another kid on the way, and just looked at my life and thought, I don't want to be tied down to a job with 4 weeks of vacation every year of my life. I don't want to ask for permission to go on that vacation. I don't like where I am financially. I was making really good 6-figure money, but I didn't see that was going to be growing exponentially or, even significantly over the course of the next few years. And, I've always had a mindset of saving is important, but saving is not going to get you wealthy. Saving just keeps you comfortable, and comfortable is the enemy. So we decided it was time to start a business, and I had to pick on which business I wanted to do. So over the course of that year, looked at a bunch of things, did some Amazon FBA, eventually settled on wanting to do some real estate, get some rental properties, chasing that cash flow that everybody on social media always talks about. That's a whole nother podcast. We can talk about that story then. From the time I made the decision to invest or start investing or build my own business to when I actually got boots off the ground, did something about it, was about a year. Little less than a year. And the big difference between where I was when I decided that I was going to do that and when I actually made that jump to do it had nothing to do with my family life. It had nothing to do with my job. It had nothing to do with my wife. It had everything to do about what's between my ears, what's in my brain, how I think about and how I perceive the world. And I know a lot of new investors struggle with this. They live in a world of can't. Well, I can't do that because I don't have enough money. I can't do that because I don't know how to do it. I can't do that. I've never been to that type of meeting before. I can't, right? And that's usually followed with, I don't know how, that doesn't make sense. All these different negative things that we take in our brain and we put out into the world. Now, there's studies that show that things that we verbally say out loud, have 10 times more impact than the things that we think. And so every time you go into a situation and say, I can't do that, you are convincing your brain that you're right? If someone says, oh, you can buy a property here and you've got, whatever amount of money, and I say, I can't do that. You're right. You can't do that. You've just convinced yourself. You take another step towards convincing yourself that you can't do that. And so the big mindset shift that I had to go through, and that each of you that's struggling with getting off the ground and taking that first action step, is changing the mindset from I can't do that to how can I do that? I am a very firm believer that if you approach things with a how can I do that mentality, you will figure out a way to get from where you are today to where you want to be. Now, that may take longer than you expect. It may not be the path that you expect it to be, and your end goal may be different by the time you get there than it was when you started. But that is all part of the process of changing your mindset, changing your life. So the number one thing I learned starting out that was preventing me from moving forward was I was in a can't mindset, and I needed to move into a how can I mindset. And I challenge each and every one of you to do the same. The second piece that I learned, and this one was learned through a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of mental anguish. But when you start out as an entrepreneur, you've gotten past that can't, you've now are taking steps towards something. You've got an idea, you get the Excel sheet out, you start putting numbers together, and you basically see this growth pattern. Like, oh, I'm going to start with this much money, and then it's going to do this, and then it's going to do this, and it's going to be exponential. I'm going to be a billionaire in 15 years, right? And it only is going to take me 12 months in order to go from point A, from non-starting to successfully quitting my job, right? What I learned is that whatever you decide on, whatever path you go down, whatever industry you're in, no matter what, there are no shortcuts to success. Whatever it is going to take you longer and be harder than you would ever truly appreciate. Now, the silver lining to this cloud is if you knew how long it was going to take to get to your goal and how hard it was going to be physically, mentally, relationship, spiritually, all across the board, hard. Most people wouldn't take that step forward. And honestly, a lot of people, they do take that step forward and they get to a point where it just becomes too hard and they stop. And you hear all the time about 90% of businesses fail. It's because they start out in this excitement phase where everything is going to grow every day. Everything's always going to grow. They're going to not hit any hurdles, winds always at your back. And they hit some adversity and it doesn't look like the plan that they have in their head. And they immediately shut it down because they obviously don't think they're smart enough. They don't think they're talented enough. Why would I ever think that this would work for me? And so they stop themselves before they ever reach their actual potential because things got hard. So as you're getting started, I want you to know, I don't want you to dwell on it, but I want you to know that whatever you're trying to accomplish, unless your accomplishments aren't aggressive enough, will be harder and will take longer to get to than you ever thought it would be. In the process of growing as a person from where you are today to the person that's gone through those trials and tribulations will make you the person that is deserving of that goal. Because if you were deserving of the goal that you set out for yourself today, you would already have achieved it. So take that, move forward, know that things are going to be harder, prepare for it, and take appropriate action and don't give up. I heard a podcast a long time ago. I have no idea who the person was, but her quote, and it stuck with me for a very, very long time, was she heard it from somebody else, is, right, if I won't quit until I have wanted to quit 1,000 times. And she even said that I wrote down every time I wanted to quit my business, I would put a tally in a book, right? And she got so successful that she never got to the 1,000 times I wanted to quit. She had a lot of times she wanted to quit in that first 100 to 200, tallies. But as she got further along, you learn more things, you make less mistakes, you have a better network, you start identifying as a person that is an entrepreneur, is successful, is smart, does know how to run a team. And you grow as a person, you develop, and you become the person deserving of what you want your goals to be. So, the third thing that I learned over the course of the last 5 years is when you're going through that initial phase, when you think everything is going to go great, you're going to be super excited. You're going to tell your friends, you're going to tell your family, hey, I'm starting a business. It's going to, I'm going to do this. It's going to be great. You're going to create an LLC. You're going to create a logo. You're going to do all the things that don't really move the needle on your business. You're going to be so excited. You're going to get that first sale or that first rental check, and you're going to be pumped. You're going to be posting it on social media. You're going to be doing everything. And it'll be so easy to keep moving. So easy. But as you go on, pretty soon you get your 100th rental check, or you've closed your 100th sale of whatever your business is. And suddenly it's not as exciting anymore. Suddenly it becomes work. It's a daily grind to find new business, to find new properties, to manage contractors, to manage tenants, to do all these things. And it becomes very monotonous. The same thing, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Mix that in with having a family, having, friends, doing all the other things. And the excitement quickly gets stripped away. Now, this is the phase that one of three things happens. Number one, where a lot of entrepreneurs that identify as entrepreneurs, they say, this isn't growing as fast as I thought it was going to. It is now no longer exciting. Therefore, I must be doing something wrong and I should shift the thing. You hear this a lot as shiny object syndrome. I'm doing rental properties and I've got several renting properties. They're doing all right, but it's not growing. I thought I'd have 100 units by now. Well, I'm going to go look at short-term rentals, or I'm going to go start flipping, or I'm going to start doing new builds, some other thing where the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. And what happens is they either stop what they're doing on the thing that is working just slowly and focus their energy on something else. Or in most cases, they say, well, I'm going to keep my rentals. I'll still keep growing this. I will then focus on this other thing as well. And so now you've taken your focus and you've split it in two. You've taken your attention and split it in two. And so now instead of 100% of your attention going onto something that wasn't growing as quite as fast as you wanted it to, now you've got 50% of your attention there, 50% of your attention on the new shiny thing, which is exciting. And guess what? Now it's not 50-50. Now it's like 80-20. And suddenly the thing that was doing okay starts to dwindle, starts to do less. And now you're thinking, well, maybe I should stop doing that and start doing this other thing full time. And so then you either keep that first thing or you close the first thing down and you just focus solely on the shiny new thing. And guess what? The excitement of that wears off. And now you go into this death spiral, this death cycle of find a new thing, get excited about it, start doing it. It starts to get boring. Look for a new thing, find a new thing, get exciting. It starts to do great. It starts to get boring, find a new thing, and you never get out of that cycle. I've seen so many talented people that are just always looking over the fence at what someone else is doing and deciding that that's what I'm going to do next. They never just commit to one strategy and move that ball forward. You can be a multi-billionaire doing rentals. You can be a multi-millionaire doing short-term rentals. You can be a multi-millionaire doing builds. Pretty much anything you want to do, you can figure out a way to become a multi-millionaire doing that one thing. There are some of the most profitable businesses in the country are roofing businesses. Putting a roof on a house is not a sexy job, right? You rip shingles off, you put shingles down, you find a new customer, you rip their shingles off. It is a marketing play, it is management of construction workers, and it is bookkeeping. And that's basically what it is. But you can make a ton of money doing that. And so if some of these huge companies that say, well, I'm a roofing business, but we're going to do some, renovations as well. And, while we're at it, we'll also do some junk cleanup and maybe we'll pave some driveways. And pretty soon they're so spread out that they suck at roofing. They suck at renovations. They suck at putting driveways down. They suck at everything and their business crumbles because they haven't focused on the things that they are very good at. So figure out what you're good at. Know that even in the excitement of starting a business, you're going to get to the boring, the grind phase. And the entrepreneurs, the business owners, they get to that grind phase and they embrace it. They think this grinding, I'm going to grind this out for 2 to 3 to 4, 10 years. And I know that if I continue just to try to make a 1% improvement on my business, on myself, on a daily or weekly basis, that I will get to be extremely successful, right? So just keep in mind that it's going to be exciting. It's going to get boring, but that's where the money's made. Money is made in the boring. It is not made in the excitement of starting a new business. Number 4 thing that I learned over the last 5 years is that failure is not something that you should shy away from. When we're getting started or just as a general population, we have a great adversity to dealing with failure. We don't want to tell people we failed. We don't want to fail because then we'll see ourselves as failure. We identify ourselves as whether we're successful or not. If we fail at something, we just assume that we are a failure and that everything we touch is going to be a failure. And those words are so detrimental to the long-term view that you need to take as a business owner. So you need to look at failure not as the enemy. The enemy to a business owner, to an entrepreneur, to anyone trying to do anything, the enemy of that is not taking action. It is a million times better to go out and take some action and fail at it, learn from it, and then take another action, and then another action, and another action. And eventually your actions will get better and better and better. You'll be able to make them faster and faster and faster, and you'll become more and more and more successful. Now, I'm not saying you just throw money at whatever opportunity that you see and hope that it works. And then if it doesn't work, count it as a failure. No, take educated gambles or educated risks on things based on what you know. And as you move forward, what you know will get more advanced, you will learn more things, and you will be able to make better and better hypothesis about the outcome of whatever action you're trying to take. But if you always are terrified of failure and never take any action, then you're going to be exactly where you are today in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. You will have not grown. You will have not improved. Your business will not have progressed. Your income will not have gotten better. And you will be looking back at all that wasted time and thinking, I wish I would have just done X. And you hear about this all the time with, people that are older and they're like, oh, I wish I would have invested in this stock, or I wish I would have, bought real estate back then, blah, blah, blah. Well, they are saying that because there was an action, a step that they could have taken X number of years ago that now they have lost all that time, which you can never get back. And they have moved past that horizon to the point where they could still take it. And in 5 years, they'd be better off. But now they've convinced themselves that they have missed the boat. It's too late, right? So making sure we're taking action, even a bad action is better than no action. But we have to be willing to fail. And when we fail, we cannot self-identify as a failure. When I fail at something, I don't say, wow, I suck, I'm a failure. I don't even like saying those words because they get in my head and they make me feel a way that I don't want to say, right? When I fail at something, my first thought is, how can I learn from that so I don't make that mistake again? The people that fail the most are the people that win the biggest. If you can increase your failure cycle time, so fail, learn, try, fail, learn, try. If you can increase the number of times that you repeat that cycle over and over again, you will increase the speed of which you are successful. You will decrease the size of your overall failures each and every time because you're taking these small actions each time. And you will grow so much faster as a person, both mentally and as a business owner. So I would encourage each of you to take the word failure, remove the negative associations you have with it in your head, and replace it with what am I afraid of the most? I am the most afraid of not taking action on something that I am confident at this stage in my life that will be successful and moving the ball forward. So number 5, and this is by far one of the most important ones, and this goes across all industries, all people. Doesn't matter how old you are, you can do it when you're 13 and you can do it when you're 95, is network, network, network. Every single one of us has heard your net worth, your network is your net worth. That is true. But more importantly, the value you can provide to your network will greatly enhance your overall success over the long period of time. The trick with this is you can't look at your network as a way to do transactions. What do I mean by that? I have a story about this. 2023, I bought one rental property. It was a triplex in a city in North Carolina. Nice building. We just finished renovating it. I had rent tenants in there, and a new property came up about a half mile away. This property was the identical sister to the property that I had just finished. It was a triplex, built the exact same year, same layout, same everything. Fortunately, at that time, I did not have any capital in order to buy that property. So not having a can't attitude, I looked at this and thought, well, I don't have the ability currently to buy this. It just doesn't make financial sense for me to try to buy it. But who do I know in my network that is looking for something like this so that I can share it with them? They can buy it, because if my network is doing better, then I, in the long term, will do better, or at least I'm just helping people out, right? So I reached out to someone, said, hey, saw this property. It's exactly like mine. I want to send it to you. I think you should go buy it. Price is great. Everything's great about it. And they said, okay, well, I'm going to go up there later today and look at it. Do you want to come with? And I'm like, sure. I already own the sister property. I'm happy to walk you through, tell you everything I know about it, and help you make a better decision. So we walked through it, and I basically said, this is a better deal than what I got on my property. I think you should buy it. I think you should give them full asking price and get this thing locked up. And their response was, well, what do you want? Do you want a finder's fee? Keep in mind, at this point, I had very little money in my account. I just finished the renovation. We hadn't finished the refi. I probably had $4,000 in my checking account. My wife All our money was going to pay student loans. So I didn't have anything. And he says, well, what do you want? A finder's fee. I usually pay, finders like $1,000 for finding this. Now, at this point, $1,000 would have been a huge percentage of my overall income. But I said, I don't need a finder's fee, because I didn't tell him this part, but if I take a finder's fee, then this relationship becomes a transaction. And now anytime I call you moving forward, you're going to look at me like, what can I do for you? What deals are you going to provide me? It puts me in this box that I didn't want to be in with my network. I didn't want to be the guy that just is there if they need something, and then if they don't need anything, whatever. So I said, no, I don't want a finder's fee. I just want you to buy it. I want my network to do better. I think this will be a great property. And the response to that was, well, why don't we partner on it? I have a lot of private money lenders. I have a lot of capital available to me. I will find the capital. You manage the property, and we will split the profits 50-50. And so with $0 of my own money, I was able to purchase a third or a second triplex. So I went from 3 doors to 6 doors like that without any money of my own. And all because I didn't treat that relationship like a transactional relationship. I wasn't trying to get anything out of it. I had no intention of being partners on that property. I just wanted somebody in my network to have it. And this has happened over and over again. And so I am generally more than willing to share a lead with someone. I am more than willing to push information to someone else that I know. I am constantly looking for, okay, what do you do? What do you have going on? What are you looking for? Right? And then as I continue to go to networking events, meet people on social media, do all these things, I amass this kind of database in my head. Like, oh, Joe's looking for, a 5, unit apartment building in Durham. Oh, I just talked to Daniel and they've got an 8 unit. I wonder if those two would work out. So I connect the two, send an introductory email. Hey, Joe, this is Daniel. This is what they've got going on. You guys should talk. Boom. That's it. That's all I have to do. And over the course of time, I've had more people find properties, meet other people, and do business because of those type of connections that I've made. And while I'm not looking for it, what that does is, through the law of reciprocity, through just people seeing that I'm not just trying to get something out of them, as they have loans that they're looking to do, as they have other people that are looking for loans or have properties or something that I'm looking for, they are pushing those to me. And like I said, it's not because I want them to do those things or push me anything. It's because I just want everybody around me to do better. I have a saying, I say it all the time. I've probably said it on here before. A rising tide lifts all ships. And I 100% believe that. If everyone in my circle is doing really well and is thriving and is being successful, then success is attracted to more success. And our network, our circle will just continue to rise and rise and rise. Look at all the, country clubs or the, car clubs or all these rich things. Money congregates. And you get these big chunks of people that all have high net worths or they're all super successful. The same thing goes for being average or being underwhelming. That congregates too. If I'm just going to sit in my basement, in my mom's basement, and play Dungeons and Dragons, I bet you my 3 or 4 best friends also sit in their parents' basements and play Dungeons and Dragons, and don't have anything going on in their life. But if I'm an entrepreneur and I've got a big business, guess what? I probably have 2 or 3 friends that are entrepreneurs, have big businesses, and we can share information to help each other grow. So network, and make sure you're networking to help others, not yourself. So I am constantly learning. I know that over the next 5 years with our fund that we're raising money for constantly, and with our lending business that we're constantly looking for loans, that I will learn so much. I will make so many connections. I will fail. I will take a lot of actions to move the ball forward. All those things will happen. And I will be a different person in 5 years than I am today, because the person in 5 years that I want to be will have to change in order to be that person. In order to earn $1 million a year, you have to be deserving of earning $1 million a year. And my skill set and my knowledge base is not there yet. And if you're not earning $1 million a year, neither is yours. And the only way that we get to whatever our goal is by constantly improving not only ourselves, but our bodies, our minds, our networks, our businesses. Everything has to grow. Because if anything doesn't grow, then that becomes the pinch point that prevents everything else from growing. So I hope this episode found you in a spot where it needed to hit you. I hope that one or several of these key lessons takes the learning time, significantly reduces it down so that you can learn it faster than I did. And I hope that you're able to take these, take some action, network with some people, change your mindset, and understand that when things get boring, that's where the money's made, and that it's going to be harder and take longer than you expect, but that's the process. That's how we get from where we are today to where we want to be, brick by brick. Can't wait to talk to you next week. Thanks for tuning in to Brick by Brick Wealth Building Conversations. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps more people find the show. For more tips, resources, and updates on my journey, follow me on Invest with Lauren. Let's keep building wealth, one brick at a time. See you next week.